Like people are like up in arms with Blade right now because he's legitimately being a piece of shit. And like there's no playing with it. Like if Blade went out and tried to do something shocky, like I don't know, like grab some guy's dick or something like that on stream, it wouldn't get as big a tidal wave as Blade like dropping his pants because he has to piss and he's inebriated and he just doesn't realize he's on stream. You know, because it's legitimate. It's a legitimate.
Didn't seem to realize there was no toilet nearby and he was indoors. Like,
yeah. But you understand what I'm saying? Like people can see that legitimate, like this guy's legitimately doing this versus like this is something done for shock value. And like I don't look at Poogie as like this bad person that people want me to look at him as, because like I know at least 12 people just like Boogie that just didn't have a YouTube following. Like people come in all shapes and sizes.
Really?
And some of them have different problems than others.
I've still got my head just completely wrapped around this idea that what he's doing is a form of cutting. That like, you know, he's hurting himself publicly on purpose and he's just not able to make good decisions around it. I don't know. Maybe this isn't a concept that fits to anyone but me. But yeah, I don't know why he's acting the way he's acting. It's crazy.
And I think it's just I think it's just him trying to save his channel because he became Friends season 7 and like he didn't find another niche yet. Like he'll find.
I love that analogy. I've used it a bunch of times too. And by the way, I think Friends season 7 didn't suck. It was just the 7th time you saw it. It wasn't like the jokes became unfunny. It wasn't like the writing fell off a cliff. No, you're just like, what else is on?
I mean, like,
and that happens to YouTubers.
It happened,
right? And that's like, how you had expertise on passing out.
That's how drunks act when they're drunk.
He's a student of the game.
Because like I've wrapped many a legs from cirrhosis of the liver. Like, because what happens is you eventually, like, your glands start giving up on you. You start holding water, and the water starts at your legs, and it gets to the point where your legs swell up to like the water starts pouring out of your pores. Like the body literally pushes like the water in your body out. So you got to wrap your legs to try to try to get some of the water to come back up and help your heart flow. It's not a glamorous death, and it's just like the shit with Blade. Like Blade's
I saw that.
Blade's gonna have a fucked up leg. He might even lose his leg. Blade might be an untreated diabetic from what I've seen.
People give me a hard time for not being meaner to Blade. Like, maybe I feel like this is how I work with relationships a lot. Like, you know, like if I'm cool with some guy in 2012 and then we don't talk for the next 7 years, it's where I left it off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I am with Blade. Like, Blade's never been bad to me. I'm not comfortable turning on him, even though I can see how people would expect that. Because, you know, he's done some stuff that would make you turn on a guy. So, yeah, his legs and his whole thing he's got going on now is self-destructive. And I wish, what does rock bottom have to look like? If it doesn't look like those legs, if it doesn't look like the trouble that he's getting himself into now, if it doesn't look like this embarrassment,
rock bottom doesn't apply to a drunk. It doesn't.
Doesn't it though? I mean, isn't that how drunks turn around? It doesn't. Maybe. A drunk wake up one day in a gutter, literally the side of the road kind of gutter, all wet, smelling like pee, and saying, you know what? I aspire to be better than this. Like that. Isn't rock bottom what turns everyone around if they turn around?
I watched Brooke piss bright orange and still sneak a spark out. Spark was a drink he drank. Like he enjoyed these things called Sparks for like $1. And they were like 7% alcohol. But like he's pissing orange. Like urine is not supposed to be orange. It's because his body's not filtering anything. His liver's just not doing its job. And it's like he would still sneak and get these things because he has a stronger hold on you than you have yourself. And not to mention, you also got to take in self-worth. Yeah, I think the worst thing that happened with Blade was him getting with Ice Poseidon. That was the worst thing he could have done.
I think about good things that turned out poorly for people all the time. You know, like the famous example is the lottery, right? It seems like a lot of people that win the lottery don't turn out well after that. It turns out to be like if they had just been plugging away as an HVAC repairman, they would have lived a better life than what it turned into post lottery, where now they're deep in debt in spite of the fact that they got $6 million, or now they have family trouble, or like it just, that money turned out to be a curse. And it's crazy to think it could be, but it did. Anyway, YouTube success. I've seen a bunch of people get YouTube success and think, man, like, they would have been better off not having it. You know, they didn't get rich out of it. They didn't get set up for life. Now they just find themselves in a spot where they fast forwarded without building job skills. Like it wasn't a positive thing in the end for them. And Blade and Ice Poseidon, like that seemed like a great break. But when you get paid for drinking streams and you're as prone to becoming an alcoholic as Blade is, then that's not the win that it seemed like. That lucky break of getting a little fame and fortune, if you call it that, was actually a curse. And I agree. I think Blade hooking up with Ice, I don't know what the alternative universe would look like. It wasn't like he was crushing it, but
Blade's never gonna get rock bottom, and another reason why is because like eventually with alcohol you sober up. And you can look, and especially when it's on camera, you can look back how you acted on alcohol. Like,
right.
Like when you're over here, like physically groping girls and like pulling your dick out. When you're sober and you look back at that and you're like, oh, I'm going to do another drinking stream tomorrow night. You know, it's how do you make that choice? Like,
on a side note, I don't know why that doesn't work better. I really feel like if women groped guys and pulled their tits out, they'd have success with that strategy, right? Am I crazy?
You're right about that, but like, I want to take another caveat on that. As
All right.
a guy who's addicted to food, there was times I couldn't stop myself from eating. Like I've told this story before, but there's been times I've sat in my truck and cried because I was going to go to McDonald's and there's nothing I could have done about it. Like, it just has that much control over you. And I'm sure Blade gets to that point. And that's how he makes that choice where he's like, oh, well, I'm talking to Chris Hansen about raping a girl. Let's schedule a drink stream next week. Or the next day. Or maybe even that night. I don't know. I don't know the timeline. From what I've seen, like, there's no rock bottom for alcoholics, though. It just doesn't happen. I've never seen an alcoholic hit rock bottom.
Really?
Never seen it. I've seen people cry about it, but they just continue to do it.
Who was the guy that did the he was a late night, I think late talk show host. Probably followed Conan or something. He was pretty cool. He had a robot. I'm waiting for the chat to hear me. They're going to know the guy's name. He was an alcoholic. He beat it. He did a famous kind of talk about Britney Spears when she cut her hair, and he saw it through a different light, you know, like people are saying Ferguson, Craig Ferguson. Yeah, I think that was his name. He was an alcoholic that turned it around. It was because he hit rock bottom, and he's talked about his alcoholism a couple of times. And it was enlightening for him to, he's like, how an alcoholic sees alcohol, how they want things you normally drink in shots, they drink in full glasses, and how once they get one or two, there's no stopping until tomorrow. So sometimes people beat alcohol. It's not the worst of them.
Yeah, it happens. Not heroin. It happens. I mean, people beat heroin. I mean, people even beat crack. But like, I'm just saying, like, you're playing against statistical odds at it. Like, I think what 5% of alcoholics actually beat alcohol. I think that's what AA statistics are. You can look this up. Might be coming out my ass with PKA stats. But I think it's 5% of all alcoholics. Actually,
this isn't real. These are statistics. I think I quoted you.
Yeah. I don't know. Like,
I'm sorry, I cut you off. I lost you. I can't tell sometimes
like
when your mic's being cut off.
People like want Blade to come to my house. I'm like, if Blade wants to come, he can come. I will hang out with him. I will do what the hell he wants to do. But I'm gonna give him the lecture, and he can ignore it or not.
I've talked to him before. It's been years now.
Because I got pictures here at the house. I can show fucking Blade what alcoholism looks like. I've watched 3 men in my life die from it.